We are all part of Owners Club, and we are all on the Owners Club AI committee. And the inspiration for this was to have an educational platform to where we could talk about all things AI. So I'm just going to go around. I'll go ahead and I'll go last, but I will start with you, Heather. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. My name's Heather Grizzard. I'm part of Owners Club. I'm more of the integrator side of, the AI stuff. So I do a lot of web development. I'm really looking into what's the best AI web builder right now because it really speeds up the work of the agency that I've built. Because basically I'm doing a bunch of the marketing stuff for clients. So AI comes into it a lot, whether that's copywriting, some sort of image building, or AI web building, like I've been playing with.
Awesome. So where are you at in the US? Where do you sit? What
Atlanta.
area? Hmm? Where?
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Okay. That's awesome. And so I've seen your beautiful things that you've been working on, and you seem to do them super fast. So thank you. All right, Tracy.
Boop. Sorry, I'm at my candy store. I'm Tracy Gunn, the candy lady. That's how most people know me. Also in Owners Club. My ice cream machine was running. Sorry. So I wanted to go turn it off. So I am just using AI in my business. I am implementing things. I am figuring out exactly, how I can make my life easier. Like, for example, this week I'm building a bot that will cash out my girls every day and every night at their drawer, and it will take a picture and whatever, right? So I'm using AI to kind of eliminate my pain points. So that's kind of how I'm using AI. I'm not really building anything to sell per se. Um, but I'm like fascinated with making business owners' lives easier, including myself, starting with me. So that's what I'm
Awesome.
doing, and I'm happy to be here.
Where are you located?
Oh, today I'm in Keene, New Hampshire, but I am most of the time in Charlotte because I'm opening candy stores there and building my business and my real estate in both.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Will.
Hi guys, what's up? My name is Will Castillo. I'm out of Miami, Florida. I'm first starting in marketing. I own an ads agency here in Miami. We focus on e-commerce, and recently, as of a year ago, I entered the world of real estate, in which I help real estate investors and business owners use automation for their businesses. Whether it is putting strategies together with my team on marketing or building systems, I am a little bit of a jack of all trades there. So happy to be here.
Awesome. Jamie.
Hi, Jamie White from Middletown, Delaware. I came from the fixing flipping world as well as the construction. I also do AI voice inbound agents as well as just workflows and things like that to try to streamline the day to day business for helping companies move forward.
Thank you. So, Jamie and I both live in Middletown, Delaware. We didn't know each other before joining the community, and he happens to be like right down the street, coincidentally. And
Oh
Delaware is
wow.
so small, we're only 100 miles long. So, I'm April Elias, and what I do in AI is a lot of AI strategy and optimization, and I take a really deep dive with everything end to end related to talent acquisition. So, from the identification, the sourcing, the engaging of talent, all the way through to hiring. And I've taken a lot of those same strategies and frameworks, and then I've applied them to things in my real estate investing business. Specifically, one workflow that I'm using and implementing is with YouTube content creation. So I'm working on that. And then also, I'm building out a bunch of stuff to support workshop facilitation and help everything work through systems and AI. So that's me. And we'll just open it up for discussion. I think, Heather, you had a great idea of the overall theme of when we come together, what we can talk about. So did you want to share that?
I don't remember what my idea
Well, what
was.
it was helping others stay ahead with AI, like not fall behind.
Mhm.
I was just thinking about the Reddit thread that I was
Yeah.
just reading. Like, is AI going to take over the world? We could just
Yeah.
start with that because that's like the doom and gloom
Yeah.
thing that everyone's
Yep.
talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
true.
it is.
People are thinking that. They are.
Yeah, and so I've spent a lot of my 20 plus years in talent acquisition, so I've seen the talent market evolve through, even, this is going to date me and say how old I am, but it Y2K, I started recruiting scientists, engineers, and IT. So when everybody thought like all banks were going to shut down because it couldn't flip to year 2000, that's when I started recruiting. And so I've seen the talent market go crazy through a whole dot-com boom, all through the financial crisis. And then here we are. And then also during the pandemic, that was a really crazy time for talent and careers and people making pivots. But it's like people are constantly having to reflect on what they're thinking about doing based on those different, times in the past. And this is no different in that regard. However, it's much different because it's happening much faster than I've ever seen. I'm seeing huge companies laying off tons of talent, and I don't say that to be an alarmist. I say that to say this is your cue to go ahead and make sure that you start learning these things, because you can like protect yourself or future proof yourself if you learn how to use AI and if you harness what AI can do for you. And it actually frees you up to work more within your gifts and talents anyway. So when I started working deep in AI back in 2021, that was the focus. I was like, how can we free people up from their administrative burdens? They can work more in their gift and talents and just, have a better experience. So I don't know if anybody else has experienced, something similar, either themselves or working with clients or the clients that they help, but that'd probably be something that'd be helpful for people to understand.
Yeah, I think on my end, something that has been kind of like funny enough that you're saying that, because people that I started hiring now, the pre-qualification is show me a chat where you like essentially like use AI for like your day to day. And literally they share the chat, right? Like when I give them like an assessment of questions and stuff, I don't care if they use AI to respond to the assessment, but they need to. And one of the things that I foresee, or not foresee, but like I think I keep hearing a lot, is just like the worry of not only the fewer jobs, but also is how many people are actually not even in the know that this is happening. And those people are like the most like vulnerable. So at least to me, one of the missions that I have is to help businesses enhance with AI, but like just to be able to hire more, to do like more intentional work, more like people work, rather than like having to be stuck doing like minimal tasks. So in a sense, like that's kind of like where I'm at. I don't want to not hire. I want to hire talent that uses AI to help them actually continue with a job at least, or pay them somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
In the development world, that everyone's thinking that's one of the first jobs that's going to go, but there are some really good points that were brought up in that thread. And it's that maybe one of the first jobs to go is junior developers. So that's like the entry level jobs that people come into out of college. It's like if those jobs go, then the barrier to getting a job is going to be so much harder because you're going to be expected to, graduate from college and then be competitive in this market where AI is doing a lot of the lower level tasks. So it's going to really change the education system too.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
really good book called Irreplaceable by Pascal Cornett, and it's basically going in and stating what can you do different, so you're using your talents to use the AI rather than letting
Hmm.
AI take over. So that's something that's eye opening.
Well, I mean, and the thing is like I reprogrammed my Shopify shopping cart using Claude and ChatGPT because eventually it would get wonky, so I'd move to the other one, and then I would install it. Now I know enough about coding to be dangerous. I know where the template liquid file is. Do I know what it's doing? Absolutely not. But it walked me through all that, and I got so far, and then I couldn't get the cart to work exactly the way I wanted it, and then I hired somebody for 25 bucks to fix that. But I'm saying like that is, I mean, that is now, and it's not as smart as that was like, I don't know, 2 months ago. So, but it's way smarter now, and it's only going to get smarter, but it's a tool to use versus this idea of the fear of it taking over, right? Because you still need inspiration behind it, I think. And it's an opportunity. Like, how much quicker or faster could you go if you had that in your pocket? helping you. If you had, you know, who's the genius, right? Thomas Edison or Albert Einstein or anybody, that's who's in your pocket right now. That's what's on our phone. But I was looking up when we were talking about this, like how many people in the world are using AI. And I think what's interesting is that they don't realize that they already are using it. Like I don't mean ChatGPT. I mean that it's in everyday project products. Like we're using it all the time. I mean, if you have Alexa, right? Like or whatever, we're using it all the time. We just don't know. It's been around a while. It's not new. So I find that fascinating. Like,
Yeah. It definitely is. And I would say to your point about AI being around before it was in everyone's awareness when OpenAI was like, oh, here's ChatGPT. So in my W-2, we had an AI machine learning and data science team for a very long time. And it was much smaller and no one really knew who they were. And then all of a sudden, the team went, psh, and now everybody knows who they are and everybody wants to
mhm,
work with them. And so that's increased, the activity around hiring the prompt engineers, the developers or the cloud architects, and just like figuring things out. The other thing is, to your point about needing the human, or in AI world, it's human in the loop. And it's like that's where people's domain expertise really comes in, and it's very
Mhm.
valuable. And if they start to learn how to just work with AI on a basic level and understand the concepts of how the models work and how you can basically ask and the quality of your ask, then you will outshine anyone who can just use AI, like just that doesn't have your domain experience, thinking they can just look it up. They don't have any way to say, is this actually accurate and does this make sense in this particular context? So those humans in the loop are really critical for things like that. And I think that's how people can continue to shine and grow. And it's kind of like refreshing in a way, because for me it takes away a lot of the stuff that I'm like, oh my gosh, if I only had more time to like think and solve problems. And then I feel like that helps me think and solve problems a little bit more quickly.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, I
and you know, I think it's funny too because it lies. Like sometimes when we first were learning to like make agents or GPTs, we would have to tell it and do not lie. Like, do not make it up. Don't lie. But again, it's funny because it's learning. It's like a 2-year-old, right? That knows how to lie, right? To manipulate the
Mhm.
situation or protect itself. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Heather, but I think it's funny.
Oh, I was just thinking like it's just going to be so crazy to see the world in 10 years because how is it
Mhm.
going to affect high school students and college students who are prepping for these fields? Like whenever I was
Mhm.
in college, I had to actually write my papers. Are they even still
Mhm.
doing that these days?
Right,
Like,
right.
how are they learning things? And then if they're not learning in the same way, how can they become those subject matter experts?
Mm,
And then on top of that, what happens to all the people who are falling behind? So we have,
Right.
we're trying to stay ahead of the curve so that we can like stay in front of the AI revolution or whatever's happening.
mm,
But what about the people who are still on paper? Like they still have a long way to go to catch up.
mm.
I
What?
did a quick search on, funny enough, using ChatGPT as well, and I did a deep research, and I asked it essentially like, what are people's most fearful of about AI? And
Mm-hmm.
in summary, because I'm not gonna go into too much detail there, but in summary, majority of people were not, according to the research, it's not about being anti AI. It's more like the fear of not being able to catch up quick enough with it, and then all the job loss, and the economic disruption that it could cause. So according to a poll that was done in Gallup Bentley University, 3/4 of U.S. adults think AI will mean fewer jobs within the decade. Now this is today, this is now, right? This was done like the within the year, and I started thinking, I'm like, okay, so how is that disruption going to happen? Well, if you think about it, the way that you use AI, it's like it depends on how you use it, but like majority of things that get asked for AI, they're usually like easy task, mundane task, like a very cleric work type of task. That is going to get like completely wiped out, right? So the way that I think about it is like now AI is making easy tasks be completely disappear, and now the new threshold of like hard task, which piggybacking on what April said, is now the norm. Like you can now execute super hard task or impossible tasks become now like the hard task, right? So the threshold completely moves on that spectrum, and it's interesting to see how now in my mind it's like how is the younger generation going to literally like what is going to be the next thing that they're going to do, right? Like how are they going to live? Like are they going to be just assisted by this type of stuff in the next 10, 20 years? What does it mean for us in the next 10 to 20 years? That's always the question that I ask myself.
Mm.
It's really no different than years ago. We had to write a letter, put it in the mail, and mail it. Now we type it, press a button, and it goes. Or we
Mhm.
say it and it goes. And all the time we save now disappeared. It got swallowed up by everything else we replaced it with. So AI can continue to speed things up and continue to help things move
Mhm.
forward, but it's not
Mhm.
necessarily going to always save us. It's not going to buy us time all the time because we're going to replace it with new stuff.
Mhm. So you said, you used to have to write a letter. I used to fax resumes to hiring managers, believe it or not. Like that's how long ago it was. I used to take resume tape, well, we would call it resume tape, and I'd block out the address and block out the phone number and fax it on over. Like I couldn't even wrap my head around. And some people are just don't even have never even touched or used a fax machine. But that's how quickly technology has changed just in my lifetime. Because I'm like, I grew up without the internet, but then the internet came out like when I was in high school, like all of these, and then cell phones to the capacity that they are. It's just wild to think about how rapidly all of this technology is. That feels like, that's moving super fast, but this is even at a faster pace. And all of us that work in it on a daily basis and do our best to build the things and then keep our finger on the pulse of what's happening. I feel like I'm behind in a lot of ways, a lot of times, but I also feel like I consume a lot of things for sure.
Yeah.
One of the big things coming that we need to stay in front of the curve on everything right now is AI to consumer or AI to save time to
Hmm.
get to the consumer. But it's not going to be long where everything's AI to AI.
Hmm.
So you'll think about something
Mhm.
and it will happen
Mhm.
because the AI will communicate all the way around.
I
Yep.
think it's already capable of reading your thoughts because
It
you can think to
remembers,
text.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can
Like,
think to text, yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
What also, like, I'll be in a different stream. Again, when I started this last, I don't know, when I first learned how to create a GPT, like last, not this February, the February before. It was a while ago. It was a little bit, a little slower process. But now when you get in there and you're talking and you have a project or whatever, it remembers. Like so we're doing the 50-day challenge. And I was like, can you give me a post about all my businesses, catch everybody up about what I'm doing? And it wrote it. I didn't have to tell it anything.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Totally true. I mean, it's just because it's remembering. It's like a person. And do you think too, when you think about it, like this is going to be people's friends, like,
It is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? And
It
some
already is.
some people's doctors already.
there you
Everything.
go, right? Like WebMD. That's so funny.
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
I
So,
think,
so actually, Google, piggybacking on what Jamie was saying, and to your point also, Tracy, Google came up with a protocol that is going to be agent to agent.
Mm-hmm.
If
mm,
they came out with the Agent Center, I believe it's called. I can't recall exactly the name, where you can connect pretty much all the tools. It's only in the enterprise level, I think, as of right now.
mm,
But yeah, they created a protocol that is going to be agent to agent. So as you give something to your agent, then that agent is going to communicate with like the tooling that it has, and then
mhm,
those tools are going to be controlled by other agents.
mhm,
So that protocol is already, if I'm not wrong, it already got released. Um, I don't know to what extent it's released in terms of like the public or businesses. It all depends. I'm assuming on on who they release it of their clientele, but
mhm,
that is already a thing, and that
mhm,
also is scary because now it becomes like, okay, the the digital businesses, right? Like how much they can either get is enhanced. And I say scary in a way that like it's happening so fast that like you just have to like catch up, of course. But it's like the digital, even the digital businesses, like for example, my business is all advertising as well as ecom sites, and that's already going to start getting revolutionized even like within a week. Every time
Mhm.
there's a new release coming out, like these things just become smarter and smarter and smarter.
Mhm.
And that to me is like it's crazy. It's just so hard to keep up. So like you have to definitely stay on top of it.
And
Yeah.
pretty soon it's going to be, hey, I think I want to sell my house. And Alexa's going to go, I have a buyer for you at X amount of dollars, which is the top rate for your home in the area.
Yeah.
And like it's done. Like all you got to
Yep.
do is say the thought and it'll be done.
It's well, I mean, we're in that like growing pains part, right? Where we know what we want it to do, but how do we make it do? And we connect this tool and that tool and get it, or like you get lost in make with all the logic of like what it can do, and then or N8N or Matt, like, but I just think like last year when we were trying to connect the GPT to like our website or what like or to do a bot and how hard that was. And yet now, I mean, so often you can just talk to it and ChatGPT will do it for you. It will build all the connections. It will, oh, I'm going to do this or that, or even the bot father in Telegram where like that's your launch point, you talk to it, it then starts to spin off and do all these things. But you don't have to be a programmer, you don't have to necessarily understand how it works. Like right now, a lot of things, if you want to get technical, you're routing everything, right? You're designing the flow, but eventually it'll just do it. And then and in a lot of ways it is, right? Manus is doing a lot of that. But like in like to Jamie's point, yeah, you have to catch up, but maybe in some ways they're better off because in 6 months they could probably just tell it what it wants and it will just do it for it. Whereas we're still piecing it together. Does that make sense? And so I just think you'll just get started, right? Like, remember you got mail, right? Like, and that was the only reason you went onto the internet was to check your mail or to be in like a chat room. That was it. And then it
Yeah.
kind of, right? I mean, dating myself there,
And then
but
you watch
Hey,
it.
I'm there. I'm right there too. What are you talking about? Well, I know
so
Heather is a, speaking of Manus, Heather spent a lot of time in Manus, like a lot, and she's pulled out some really amazing stuff. I don't, do you want to talk about that, Heather?
Yeah, so I got two pro accounts this month, and then they gave me basically gifted me credits for another pro. So I've used about 50,000 credits this month. It's been,
Holy
but
cow!
I've been testing it. So I
Yeah.
actually just did a new use case for it a couple of days ago, and I did a underwriting report for a self-storage facility. I had it go through and do all the financial modeling. So I had it like prepare snapshots for the stabilization snapshot, which was estimated to be about 2 years, and then the exit snapshot to see like, okay, what's the cash flow at these different snapshots, and then what could be the profit at the end whenever it's exited. And it was able to do a lot. I just fed it some initial numbers, and it is amazing. It thinks a lot differently than ChatGPT. That's what I
mm,
like using these different programs because the modeling is a little bit different. Manus actually combines quite a few agents together. I think I heard at some point either in the Discord or something, it was 40 agents together that
wow.
are just kind of doing different things. So that's why Manus is a little bit more powerful in its thinking, and they're
Mm.
improving it. They just added in the newer ChatGPT image modeling. So that was an update that they just released, I think, yesterday. So they're constantly improving it.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable for sure. Definitely. And you just every time something new comes out that's massive, you just, play around with it a little bit and it's always like, wow. And then as soon as I started playing with Manus, I was like, well, the things that I was building, I'm not building them that way anymore. So you have to be okay with being, walking away and kind of like capping your losses of time and money spent and then just be like, this is the better, more efficient way to do it. And I think that's some of the some of the areas people sometimes get frustrated in because they're like, I spent so much time like tweaking this, figuring this out, and then one prompt could just eat it and it could be wiped out. But you know what? That's okay because now it's easier and you can do something different. And so back to the job and everybody worrying about their job, it's like, yeah, a lot of jobs are going away. They are. And it's not that they're not, but a lot of jobs are getting created because Will, like think about how many AI, like agency or like all of the variety of like what you do and Heather, you too, like everyone's doing different things and having clients and kind of like an agency type of model. But just think about all of the possible ways that you could make money leveraging AI because you're spending time in it, doing the hard part, figuring it out that other people just like don't want to spend the time to do because they're so busy. But it creates a whole new way. It's like a whole new profession. It's a whole new category because when I was hiring for prompt engineers, everybody's like, what the heck is that? Like, and so we had to hire them differently because not enough time has passed for people to have enough experience in the thing. And so you just evolve to it or evolve with it. And I feel like that's how everybody's like career is going to evolve. And people that would have maybe said, oh, well, I'm not a cashier anymore because there's self checkout. Now they can like really step into their creativity and like bring their ideas to life in a much more different and perhaps more meaningful way than they would have had an opportunity to otherwise.
Yeah.
And I think to play off of that, I don't know if jobs are actually going away, but I think the task that a lot of people are doing at their job goes away.
Yeah.
So people can always pivot and change and take over new responsibilities in the role they have, but it's whether they choose to pivot or if they just go, oh no, I can't do that anymore.
Well, consulting jobs are getting slashed. I can tell you that for sure. So PwC just laid off another round of over 1,000. So we do competitive intel. And so part of our job and one of the things that I build is to gather competitive intel for me because it helps me recruit. And at least the big fours and a lot of the larger regional consulting companies, they're starting to contract. And the reason that they're starting to contract is because they're like, I don't need this fancy McKinsey consultant. I just give that as a job to ChatGPT. And I say, you're this, you're a top McKinsey consultant. This is your expertise. And, you structure the prompt the way that it would
Mm-hmm.
come out in a way
Yep.
that you desire. And people are like, not that consulting is completely going away, like traditional management consulting, but it's certainly contracting. And I don't think it's ever going to totally go away because there is a lot of expertise there, but they need less people to do things. And then those people are just going to become more valuable. So the people that are around, they're much more valuable and they have a larger value add when they're out, delivering services to a company.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think something that might not that is not definitely not gonna go away, or that it's going to be more emphasized in the human interaction at the end of the day. But even when I say that, like there's already literally chatbots that you can call and they sound natural as heck and literally like negotiate for you. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's that technology already exists. But I think where people are gonna start doing is instead of like it's funny. I remember Pace's story about like having to drive to Utah to like to Colorado, I think it was, for that like in person interaction. I think more people are going to end up wanting to have that like personal connection for like bigger deals, right? Bigger
Mm-hmm.
stuff, or at least like that's what I think. Because as much as you can have AI like buy you your groceries, or like you can just order with like Amazon's like Alexa, for example, that is very automated and sure it has a component of AI. At least the way that like some businesses get conducted is in a person to person, interpersonal like business like meetings, whether that is on webcam or whatever. I don't think that's going away in anyway any time in any short time. So that's kind of like where the skills need to come in, where it's like how good are you with talking to people, your interpersonal skills, and yeah, I'm just amazed at the level of like how technology can now. People are deep fakes. That's what I was going with that.
Mm.
That's one of the things that like a lot of people are also like scared of, is just the amount of deep fakes that you can make now with like AI. So that in person kind of like for making a deal is going to be also big.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, one of the people that I follow, I'm in a couple different groups, but he was saying, you know what? He stopped doing annual subscriptions, which is very right. Most people do an annual subscription because you don't know in 2 months whether what you're using is even going to be worth anything, right? So he just does monthly, and it gives him the freedom to like play with whatever's new. Because Manus was not a thing a couple months ago, but it is now. N8N, same thing.
Hmm.
Make what was the other one? I mean, there's so many of them, right? But like, and some of the capabilities, let's just say even ChatGPT, can now do what a lot of those other softwares that you were paying for were doing. Now chat will do that for you. So you can eliminate. So it's just even just the way that you're going out and trying new things, right? Not trying to miss anything. But I was like, oh, that's so smart. But then there was one other thing. Go back a second where we were talking about like what do we learn? Heather was saying like what do they learn in high school? How do they prepare for this? We had day with Pace and he was talking about what he worries about is that what does he tell his son to do? Like
Hmm.
he's little. How does he prepare him for going off into the world someday as a grown up, 18, 20, whatever? Like what do you teach them that's important? How do you guide them? Because who knows what that will even look like? I thought it was a really interesting point. That I really, again, my kids are grown, so, but I have grandkids.
Me
Like,
too.
what will
Hmm.
that look like for them?
Hmm.
Right? They all have a little iPhone. I mean, babies are at the restaurant table, and my granddaughter, who's almost 3, she knows how to call me. I mean, that doesn't mean she always talks, but she knows how to call me, right? Because they're just using it. Whereas, my mom's like, my husband, how do I do that? He couldn't even check in for Southwest today. It's like, are you kidding me? It's like, it needs an update. I'm like, yeah, because you haven't opened it in 3 years. That's why it needs an update. But that's the world, right? 2-year-olds who know how to run stuff and are not scared to push buttons,
Yeah.
and adults who are scared to push buttons.
Yeah. And then the other thing too that's big that Will touched on, and Jamie, I don't know if you want to speak on this since you're building voice agents. That's like a huge, that's like, that is like all the hype that I hear about, like these voice agents getting better and better and better. Because early on, they used to be, the pauses were so long, you could tell it was AI, or that it improved slightly by saying, that's an interesting question because it bought itself time with voice while it thought, right? And so now it's just kind of streamlined and a little bit better conversationalist in a natural way. What have you been seeing messing around with voice?
I think it's been growing greatly. I mean, for the last year and a half, I've been playing with it and continue to get into the deep end of it, I guess. And the improvements have been unreal. The speed of the AI is great. So the only delay you really get now is after the very first sentence, because that's a fixed sentence and then it switches over to the AI. But
Mm.
if it's calling, if someone's calling in to it, it's not fixed and there's no delay. If it's calling out, you have that 5 to 7 second delay, and you can adjust it down to less. But by doing that, you jeopardize talking over top of someone that didn't get a chance to talk yet.
Mm.
Um, but the voice quality, and depending on the service and everything like that's being used, there is, you can't tell it's AI. You can use your
Mm.
own voice now, so you can record different clips into it, and it'll save that and build a whole algorithm off of that, and basically just sounds just like you running through
Wow.
everything. And you can actually now do the same thing with the video. So I can add voice and video. So if you want to send out SMS messages that are made via AI, you can do the video and the voice, and I can do it all based with adding text. So I can just add a text script, put it in, and send it.
Maybe that's how Pace texts everybody. Maybe he's ahead of the game.
He's a machine. He's got
Well, he is.
clones.
I mean, Maybe that's what it is. The
Yeah.
paste bot. He's was promoting that or something
Hmm.
on I saw that today. Hmm. I mean, remember Hey Jen? I remember a couple years, this is probably almost 2 years ago. Roland Frazier was talking about Hey Jen and 11, I think it's 11 Labs,
11
right?
Labs.
One
Mhm.
is the voice, one is
Mhm.
the person generator, right? And that was a couple years ago. And I know like when we got Prop AI ownership last year and like we were like, whoa, right? But Pace can't do that party trick anymore, like in an audience and be like, wait, let me test it, right? Where it tried to call everybody because we're like, yeah, 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 right? How quickly we're like, whatever. And now I don't feel bad when I hang up on people who are spamming me because I'm like, yeah, you paused, I'm out, right? Like, I don't have to be polite anymore. You're wasting my day.
You still answer your
So
phone?
I
Mhm.
do. I do. You know why? They get me every time when they have the phone number for my town. Like it could be my staff person, it could be, but the other thing I'm really interested in is like if we went to this I think it's called Pins and Stripes or something. It's like a bowling alley arcade thing, but they have robots delivering the food. And you could pick the music. And I'm like, I want to weigh people on their way into the candy store and weigh them on the way out and just charge them. Like
There you go.
I if I could get rid of staff, like cuz here's the thing, when you have a great one, they make the whole thing amazing. Right? If I could replicate myself, like I'm good at it. This is my world. I understand this. I want to chat up people, whatever. But most of mine are like this on their phone. They don't know a dime from a nickel and they don't really care, right? This one,
Mhm.
the one that called out tonight, which is why I'm at the candy store, she's sick for the fifth time this month. Like if I could replace them for 1,500 bucks or whatever, like when robotics come and they're weeding your garden, like that is like what we're talking about. Like all of a sudden, what if you didn't have to do all your chores? What if you didn't have to do checking like you were teaching us, April, about like that bot with Lindy about doing the email, which I never could figure out. But like what if how much time could I save in my life never having to deal with my email again? Like, oh, that is a dream,
Mhm.
right? Or a VA who just deletes everything or what like I'm just saying it just shifts everything. But it's and I think that's why I feel really like privileged that we could get to talk about this and help other maybe people in Owners Club. Because I think we're gonna hopefully we'll be able to do the poll because I think people are gonna run the gamut of like really into it and like utilizing it in everything and having businesses with it. And we're gonna have people who have never done it and like someone in the group was like, oh, I've been against TikTok, right? I think I don't remember who it was, but it was in the challenge, like like not wanting to use TikTok just for whatever reason.
Oh, that was me. That was
Was
me.
it you?
Well, I
I
wasn't
thought
oh, no, no, no. I wasn't
no, somebody else
anti-TikTok.
was. They were
I
anti
had TikTok
TikTok,
and
but I
didn't
was
use
like,
it. Yeah.
no, but I mean, but my point is like people are there and there's reasons, right? And if we could just like it's going to be hard to talk to everybody, right? But there's always something to learn, or there's always a little trick, or there's always a little thing. So I just think we have such a great opportunity and also to learn from each other. So I'm really excited. So, yay. Thanks for including me.
So, did anyone have anything that they wanted to share before we go around and wrap up? And I ask everyone, what's the thing that is getting you the most excited that you're working on? And what's one piece of advice for someone who's feeling overwhelmed and they're like, I only know how to spell ChatGPT. I haven't used anything. So, is there anything anybody wants to bring up before we go around and do that little wrap up session? I mean, there's so much.
Yeah, there is so much. That's the thing. Dude,
I'm a techie person, and I wasn't even using ChatGPT that
I'm on
often
my phone.
before, like, I think February is whenever I really started using it, and it's because I installed a little desktop app, and I can see it all the time, and so it's reminding me, like, every time I'm making a social media post or sending out an email that might be worded a little funky, and I'm like, oh, this needs to sound a little nicer, then it just reminds me, like, I have this tool at my resource. I should definitely use it. And I think people
Mhm.
are just not adopting it in their everyday life in the way that they could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think there is so many of them, yet everybody just knows one, which is usually ChatGPT. So to name a few that I use,
Mhm.
Gemini obviously is easy to access, is free. Literally, you have a Gmail, you can just access Gemini. ChatGPT is the obvious one. Claude, great for writing and also writing code. I mean, Heather, as you know, obviously Manus is also coded. It's built on top of Claude. Um, what's another one that I use? I use Manners, as we spoke about. Let me
Perplexed.
actually pull my list here. Perplexity is another one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There is also DeepSeek, Grok. If you guys are not using, even just to test it out, a tool like a Replit or anything like that, that will essentially you will tell it what you want to code, and then just like it does it for you pretty much. Not entirely. Okay, it's a prototype
Mhm.
unless you really
Yep.
understand how to actually build something like that. But there's just
Mhm.
so many out there, and people are not really understanding what each one does or what they specialize on. So my hope is that with these calls and these AI hotline, we're able to like bridge that gap a little bit more
Mhm.
and showcase, certain ways on how to use some of these tools to actually get some work done.
Mhm.
I think today's conversation was really like, getting all those different like aspects of like where we see AI going. Um, but I'm really excited for these type of call because I want to touch on like the specifics of what each of these models can do,
Mhm.
and even showcase some of the stuff that we're working. I mean, anywhere from like AI actual using the tool versus like implementing it into a business in a certain way.
Mhm. Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Awesome. So, how about we all pick? So, if you were a newbie, knowing what you know now, because I also want to hear the thing that you're most excited to work on too. So, what would be the one, if you had to pick just one, whether it be ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever, if you had to recommend just one for people to start with, because it's already like an overwhelming thought to begin with. I'll just go around. I'm just going to go in the order in which you're on my screen, if that's okay. So, Tracy, what would be the one tool, just the one that you would recommend, and what are you most excited that you're working on right now?
I would go with the granddaddy. I mean, Chatty G. I mean,
Yeah,
and name it.
ChatGPT.
My friend named it that, and so mine's named Kevin, from 321 Penguins, because and Kevin, and so I I think you just get in the habit. Just get in the habit of just trying. Like, so I was responding to a review. It was a bad review. The person pissed me off, and I was going to be snarky. And I was like, Chad, could you help me make this sound nicer? And he did, right? And so you can use it for just little things. How do I plant my garden? How to, like, you can ask questions. It's just, it's the easiest one to just try. You don't need to code, you don't have to understand the logic. It will guide you through. If you want to install something and you don't know how to, or you don't know how to, like my microphone's not working, can you help me? And then it will give you step by step. That would be my advice, is just start and just try, right? When my husband asked me a question, I am now saying, first of all, I made him install it on his phone. That's number one. And number two, I'm like, you need to start talking to that guy like he's your best friend and ask him how to log into Southwest, right? Because you know what? Like, it's in your pocket. You might as well. I'm super excited about building, because I'm scaling to 10 candy stores in this year. I know whatever problems I have currently are going to just keep multiplying. Right now, I just got them at 10 problems. Right. And so I'm trying to solve it with an automated result, meaning like a training bot. that will answer all the Life is Sweet questions. I'm going to create a bot that will answer like, what happened to all my favorite candy? People come in like, I used to get a slapsticks. Do you know if they still make that? Why don't I see that anymore? Right? Those kind of questions that my staff don't know, but I do. So, like those kind of things, and just really making it a consistent experience for my customers and easier to train staff because staffing is getting harder and harder. So, for me, that's kind of how I'm bridging that gap. Um, and also, I like that it can make me go faster. Like, right? It's like your clone. You're making it go faster. And so my to-do list theoretically should shrink. I'll probably keep adding to it because that's what I do, but I like that. I love that I can and really like if I can think it, I could do it,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Awesome. So thank you so much, Tracy. That's super exciting. And so again, I'm just going to go in order. Jamie, I see you next. So maybe I'll do it the other way around. Maybe it's what's the most exciting thing that you're working on, just real quick, and then also the one thing that you would recommend people jump into. And it could be
Sorry,
the
I
same as
told too
Tracy.
many. I told too many. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I'm sure everybody loved that. But if you, hey, there's Lucas. What's up, buddy?
He's hiding right there somewhere.
No,
He's
he's
fine.
good. He's good. And just
Um,
one, what would you, and like I said, it could be the same as Tracy's, if it is.
I'll use two, but I'll be quick. I still think ChatGPT is the main one that I fall back to, but the one I'm using most today is Sora. Um, Part of the projects I'm working on is doing AI automated um, social media posts. So using Sora with Operator and going through and building those posts, but they are paid programs that not everyone's going to have. So I'm not sure if that counts for what we're talking about, but it's a pretty good use case, and there are some different pieces of software.
Awesome. Well, and that's a good topic maybe for a future podcast is because all of these subscriptions can get away from you, at least for me. I'm like, I'll subscribe, I'll subscribe, I'll subscribe. And then I'm like, oh, dang, what did I do? So yeah, that's a good one. All right, Heather.
Yeah, so I'd have to go with my newest favorite, Manus. And if anybody wants an invite code, you can DM me on Instagram. Do a little plug here at
Yeah.
heather.grizzard. I have like 9 left, I think. So yeah, I love it because it usually gets things right on the first try, which is pretty cool. Like I'm having to fight with it less than other platforms that I'm using, so that's why it's my favorite right now. And then as far as what I'm excited for, the different tools that I'm using are all build tools. So I am building things, and it's really exciting because I can build things faster for other people. And April and I meet every day, and we're working on a bunch of cool things. So we have it's a it's just such an opportunity to take ideas that you have, and it might be a new idea every day. Just add it onto the list at the bottom. And
We're like, we need to stop talking to each other. Our lists are too long. No, they're fun. You're right. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So, Will, what are you most excited to be working on today? And I think we'll do this every week because then we can talk about like what's and whoever's like taking turn to like kind of being the MC for the episode. I'd love to hear what you guys are working on. So the most exciting thing you're working on and the one tool you'd recommend.
So the most exciting thing that I'm working on currently is I'm actually automating the entire process for my ads agency, all the way from actual like the onboarding of the client, all the way down to like getting not only the complete marketing strategy fully set up, but also the creatives for both video and actual statics. So that's definitely been a challenge and fun. In a sense, is going to replace a lot of current moving pieces for my agency because it's going to make us just be able to go to market a lot faster, especially in the industry that I'm in. I'm in the hemp industry, so it's a little tough to actually come up with publish those type of ads. And then the one tool that I'm really like that I recommend everybody to use is Notebook LM.
Oh yeah.
You can absolutely learn anything in a really fast way using Notebook LM. The reason for that is because you can create a collage of like resources, videos, Google Docs, whatever you have maybe that you want to like do. So my combo is do deep research with Gemini, download that deep research, put it into Notebook LM, and then use supporting videos of that topic, and then create a podcast out of it. And in 25 minutes, I can become, I wouldn't say an expert, because like for an expert, you have to take hours to actually do the thing. But at least the theory, it's so much more broken down to like easier to understand in a faster way. So definitely Notebook LM, highly recommended for anything that you want to learn.
Yeah, I agree. I love that too. And I think the free version, you can put up to 50 resources, isn't
Mm-hmm.
it? Well, you can put
Yeah,
up to, so that's a lot of context. And
a
then it
lot of
comes out on a
context.
really cool podcast. So now that you can make your own little favorite podcast the way you want, and then this will be your favorite podcast too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so people can save this one also. So, I would say, I mean, this is hard because I feel like there's so many things that I'm excited to work on. And I would say probably the one thing that I'm most excited to work on is putting the finishing touches on automating and using AI for the YouTube content and the YouTube stuff, meaning the ideation, the titles, the scripts, the things like that, tweaking them and making them really great. And then what I'm also doing is I'm teaching as many of my kids are 30 to 19, there's 5 of them. I'm teaching all of them as much as they want to learn about AI and helping me get in and build these things. And so that has a dual purpose. It's, to help me too, but then also to empower them to be able to be resourceful and just kind of figure it out no matter what happens in the work world. And so that's really exciting. And well, and that also kind of ties into some of the stuff I'm working with Heather. And so it all is very, it's all very harmonious in that way. And the one tool I would say this week, the top tool for me is actually Claude in the projects. Because starting to build those projects out a little bit more. I do like the projects in ChatGPT, but I like Claude. I like some of the new things that they've done within that structure to build things out. And it's kind of like you train it, and I just feel like it's kind of this big library and knowledge base. And so I'm testing out organizing things instead of GPTs or training GPTs. I'm testing this out in the project function. And so I'll let you guys know how that turns out. But it's just when you see all this stuff like happen and then it's all there and you're like, oh, I don't have to go dig through this old chat thread or this particular thing that I built. But that's pretty much it. But thank you everyone for, I don't know how many people are watching. This is our soft launch, so I'm kind of like looking around like, I hope we're live. It says we're live. I think we're live. But we'll figure out next week how to see people's comments and and respond to those. But thank you, everyone. And just tune in. We will have our real go live, not next Thursday, but the Thursday after. So on the 22nd of May. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.